and our CEO, Dr. Chris van der Werven. We would like to welcome you to the Open Enrolment information session this morning. I am Claire Sissing, the Channel Director for Open Enrolment. Our agenda for this morning, I'll be doing the welcome and introduction, and I will then hand over to our proposal and design specialist, Mr. Kevin Henderson, who will then talk about our design approach. Kevin will then go through our comprehensive management and leadership development programs, as well as discuss how we can cater to your organization's unique operational needs with our close cohorts. I will then chat briefly about the remaining intakes for 2023 and our program launch for 2024. At the end, we'll have allowed for some questions and answers, so please feel free to post your questions in the chat as we go along. Just a quick one. I will be just briefly speaking about Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development and then also introducing you to the Open Enrolment team. Some of you might have noticed in the video, if you were in a bit earlier, that our CEO, Dr. Chris van der Werven, shared briefly about who is SBS-ED, as well as our DNA. So I would just love to just go through it again. So SBS-ED, in short, is simply put, the short course arm of Stellenbosch Business School within University of Stellenbosch. By this, I basically mean that we offer the management and leadership development short courses, and the business school offers your degree programs, your MPhils, your postgrad, and your MBAs. Together, we provide a full suite of business-orientated interventions that caters for all working professionals. As a private company, we are dedicated to offer our clients practical and relevant knowledge, working with both hosts of academic and business experts. And by doing so, we then deliver solutions that are world-class and theoretically sound. All right, on the next slide, your Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development are definitely game changers. We have a clear purpose, and our purpose is to develop and connect leaders through innovative and transformational learning experiences. We want to unlock potential to lead, to build extensive networks, and turn to give rise to positive change across our African continent and beyond. Our client promise is to have long-standing and deep relationships and to work together to design and deliver people development. And by doing so, SBS-ED always makes sure that we align to your purpose and ambitions. We communicate and operationalize your strategy. We embed and amplify your values, and we refresh company culture. And we touch those hearts and minds of the people that you care about to prepare them for an inspiring future. As mentioned before as well, and just which is very close to me as well, is Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development's ambition is very clear. We develop people, we impact our businesses, and we transform lives. And lastly, as mentioned also by our CEO, our DNA, we are real. We are authentically an African entity. We are different, and we celebrate diversity of people. We are loyal. We build long and deep relationships, and we are fiercely committed to people development. My favorite one, we are funky, we are courageous, and we're creative in our quest for learning. And most importantly, despite it's very important to note that all our programs are quality assured by the business school and then certified by Stellenbosch University and then accredited with the Higher Education Council, Policy Council. In the rest of Africa, we are fully accredited by the Botswana Qualifications Authority and in Mauritius by the Mauritian Qualifications Authority. A bit of a brag, in 2000, we were the first business school in Africa to receive the EQUIS accreditation, and we were re-accredited again in 2019. In 2002, we're the first South African business school to achieve international AMBER accreditation and re-accredited again in 2012. In 2012, we were the first business school of African origin to achieve international AACSB accreditation. We are very, very, very proud to hold the Triple Crown accreditation, which is a very prestigious award, which is held only by 1% of business schools worldwide. And these were mentioned in the previous slide, which is our AMBER, EQUIS, and AASCSB accreditation. We are also very proud that we are the business school in Africa for Africa. We are presented our management and leadership development program short courses in over 18 countries across the African continents. We have a very strong presence in East Africa, Kenya and Ethiopia, Central Africa, Angola and Congo, and in the South, Namibia and Botswana, and we are growing. In this slide, I would just like to bring to your attention, we work across a range of industries and we source these skills, experts, faculty, and LPF that cater to the unique needs of our clients. These are just a few that mentioned on the slides, but we're working in the industries and sectors in agriculture, automotive, hospitality, financial services, mining, and logistics, and many, many more. I would love you to meet my incredible
Claire, I think we are missing you now. So if you could perhaps.
As mentioned earlier, and part of my team on the left-hand, right, can you hear me now, Kevin?
Yes, we can hear you now.
My apologies. Thank you. I would like you to meet my incredible team. As mentioned earlier, I am Claire Sissing, and I'm the Channel Director for Open Enrolment. Right below me is Shemaine Mitchell. She's the Client Relationship Manager, and she takes so much pride in looking after her clients. Samantha Abrams is one of our program managers. Samantha manages our Young Minds program, our New Managers Development program, as well as our Senior Management Development program. And Samantha has been with us for many, many years. Sandy is new to the team, just over 2 years, and she's also a program manager, and she looks after our management development programs, our executive development program, as well as our project management program. Right at the bottom, and the only male in the team, is Mr. Kevin Henderson. He's our proposal and design specialist, and Kevin is all things learning. And Kevin is responsible for the design and the academic rigor of all open enrollment programs. My apologies, I did forget the most important person that actually keeps us together. That's Amira Lewis. She is our administrative officer, and Amira is basically your first contact when you do register on our programs in open enrollment. I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Kevin Henderson, who will then discuss our design approach and our comprehensive management and leadership programs. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much, Claire. And from our side, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and what a privilege to be with you and spend and invest the next sort of 1 hour with you as we both share the passion for learning for all the people under our care as leaders in our respective businesses. I maybe just want to apologize up front. You know, we all live in South Africa, and I know there are some people from out of South Africa, but in South Africa, we're still having a little bit of a nuisance that we call load shedding. And so when you do find that at times the connectivity is a bit poor, that's maybe just an effect of the load shedding. And also when you pick up those delays between when the slide moves over, that's all part of that kind of challenge. But we hope that you will in any case get the message as we are trying to share with you this morning. As Claire mentioned, I would like to talk to you a little bit around what are the programs that we are offering. And for this morning, our focus is going to be on our leadership development programs. Leadership is very, very dear to our hearts. In fact, I most recently read an article in which the researchers noted that most employees are reporting that their managers and leaders are the cause of a lot of stress in their lives, especially first-time leaders and managers. And it's from that perspective that we would like to share what it is and how we could help your organization when you have people that need to step into leadership, and how do we prepare leaders as like that. So one of the principles that we use in our design is that we sort of lean and lend from the Drotter, Sharan, and Knowles leadership pipeline. And so in our offering, we offer programs at the new managers development level, the management development level, the senior management development level, as well as the executive development level. Our programs that we offer in open enrollment are programs that are pre-scheduled. In other words, we sort of launch them once a year, and they are sort of predetermined dates on which these programs will be running. Some of these programs are then offered publicly, so it's not customized, but more importantly also to note that it's kind of what we call the off-the-shelf kind of programs in management and leadership. We do, however, have different delivery modes, and one of those is that we have the face-to-face interactions. So face-to-face, also some people refer to that as in-person interactions, but we also make use of what we call remote learning. And I think it's significant and important to distinguish between what remote and online would mean. Remote for us means that these are synchronous sessions, whereas online, and I will refer to that later on, would refer to asynchronous interactions of learning. In our offering, we make use of what we call our blended approach, and the blended approach for us would mean both face-to-face or in-person, as well as synchronous remote sessions as well. So just to sort of clarify that when we speak about our offering, that would be the programs that we would be looking at as well. Later in the presentation, I'll touch on something that we call closed cohorts and how you can arrange for such programs as well. But let's deal with that as the session progresses for this morning. Part of our design approach, like I've mentioned earlier on, is that we make use of the Drotter's pipeline. And Drotter, Sharan, and Knowles speaks about it's important for managers and leaders, before they can lead them other people, they must show evidence of being able to leading themselves. And so part of what we offer in our offering is the new managers development program, where there's a strong focus on leading self. However, as you are preparing to lead others, we then look at how do you manage other people and how do you lead other people. And that particular program is what we call the management development program. But then there's the responsibility where people become more senior in organizations and they start to lead businesses, they start to lead business units and functions. And so therefore, we offer the senior management development program, and then ultimately we expect of our leaders in society to be leaders that can lead in any context and any environment. And so those leaders would be fit to come to our program, which is called our executive development program. Our executive development program, therefore, also regarded as one of our flagship programs. And as we progress this morning, I'll provide a little bit more detail with each of these. Claire mentioned earlier on that our programs are quality assured by the business school. Our programs are certified by Stellenbosch University, but you also mentioned that we are accredited by the Higher Education Quality Assurance. Also important to note on this slide is that our programs are aligned or pitched at the following NQF levels, because I know that many L&D specialists are quite familiar with the NQF levels in South Africa. So our NMDP is aligned with the NQF level 5, our MDP, NQF level 6, SMDP with NQF level 7, and then lastly, our executive development program is aligned to NQF level 8. When we think of leaders and the different dimensions of leadership, we are aware that there are kind of 4 different dimensions that each leader must bring to the fore. And so in our approach to designing leadership programs, we are quite aware that we have to deal with the leaders' being. Also, I think another way for me to look at your being is around the character, who you are and how you show up as a leader. So we focus on how leaders are behaving, in other words, their being. But also, what is also important is that leaders must apply what they know and how they can apply that. And so we refer to the leaders doing as well. But then a big part, and I think it's a skill that has not in most recent years in education received a lot of attention, which is the skill of and the ability to think. In fact, I used to be an ex-school teacher, and I'm painfully reminded how often teachers would tell children not to think. Some teachers will tell them that when you think that things go wrong. And so you can imagine when some of the people that we work with arrive, thinking is kind of a skill that's sometimes quite foreign for them in terms of the quality of the thinking and also in terms of how to think effectively. In fact, I like to say very often that if you want to know the quality of a person's thinking, you basically just need to look at the quality of the person's decisions that they are making. And you and I know that whenever you and I make a poor decision, what people will mostly ask us is, what were you thinking when you made that decision? So thinking is a critical part in our design of our programs as well. And then lastly, we also understand that all leaders must have relevant knowledge. And it's about knowing around leadership, knowing and understanding how to get the best out of your people. And so we want to focus our attention in our program design around those 4 dimensions as well. Now, once these programs are designed, how do we deliver these programs? And I thought it might be just good for you to understand what our journey is like. So we kick off our programs usually with an orientation session, and especially because when we start thinking about the remote learning space, to ensure that when we arrive at our study block, which you see on the slide as the next step, that the participants are ready to learn and that the landing is softly for them. So we have our orientation session usually a week before the launch of the program or the start of the program or the first study block, in which we sort of deal with all the little technical issues or just helping people to onboard effectively so that when we start with the learning journey, everyone is on par and on the same page as well. We also make use of different psychometric assessments on the different programs. And these psychometric assessments is not to determine whether these people are appropriate to attend the program, but just to help with the sense of greater awareness. And some of it will help participants understand a bit more about themselves and where some of their weaknesses are, but that's the purpose of these psychometric assessments as well. We have on our programs what we call some informal feedback loops. In other words, it's not structured within a specific organization, but each of the syndicate teams, and I'll talk some more about that later, will have the opportunity to receive feedback from a person that we call our learning process facilitator, and in some of our programs, the executive leadership integrator as such. We pride ourselves, as Claire mentioned earlier on, that we ensure that we choose the best faculty. And our faculty is not only academics in the true sense of the word, but also we choose faculty that are relevant in the industries that Claire has mentioned earlier on as well. So our faculty bring both academic excellence, but also a strong business acumen to ensure that the learning that our participants will go through is not only academically sound, but also very practical and know how to implement within practice. We have what we call the learning process facilitator, and our EDP, the executive leadership integrator. And these people will be journeying with our learners, our participants on all of our programs. And the purpose is there to assist with support, coaching, but also to help with integrating the different modules that we offer on our programs. And then we have what we call a group project, which is what we the business-driven action learning project, and also known as the BDAL. And the BDAL serves as almost the vehicle through which the participants can apply the knowledge that they have acquired. Claire said earlier on, we're all about learning, and we know that gaining knowledge is one aspect of the learning process, but it's actually when that knowledge is applied and leading to some change in our behaviors that we know the individual has been learning. And we utilize the business-driven action learning project as the vehicle to ensure that learning is taking place as well. Since most of our programs, or the programs that we're talking about this morning, are programs which are regarded as competency-based programs, we have the one activity that all participants must go through, and that is that they also have to do some individual assignments. And for each of these programs, there is a number of assignments to complete. I can assure you, though, that we are quite mindful that these are busy leaders and managers that come onto our program. So our aim is not to burden them with the assignments and the BDAL, but rather to ensure that they demonstrate a sense of competence so that we can satisfy and certify them as competent. And then lastly, not on all our programs, but in some of our programs, and as far as we possibly can do that, we invite guest speakers to address our participants, and these guest speakers are very often industry captains that would like to share their experiences with us as well. And so with the advent of the remote setup, the remote learning program, we've been quite successful to invite far more people, because even now we are able to bring international speakers who can address our cohorts without being physically in the classroom or in the facilitation room. And so that's something else that we offer within our program and process as well. I've mentioned earlier on around the different modalities, and I did indicate that we offer the remote learning and the online learning. And I maybe also just want to sort of highlight this, that part of our offering is not only in the in-person or face-to-face and remote learning within our open enrollment, but we have a dedicated channel that does look at the asynchronous learning opportunities. And so we speak of that as our online channel, and their work is centered around asynchronous learning. In other words, where people can learn within their own time. So learner paced and learner based. That's what our online learning is working with. And then obviously we also have some hybrid opportunities, which means that many of the different aspects as mentioned in the learning modalities on the screen will be combined, a combination of all of those. And we can sometimes just in our conversations, we can look at how we can assist a client using a hybrid learning modality as well. I know that there's a lot of people some people on the program that's also from the rest of Africa. And I'm also aware, because I've checked earlier on, but I'm also aware that we pride ourselves as a business school in Africa for Africa. And so maybe also just to mention that some of our programs does have a focus on an African context. And so where we take into consideration some of that diversity from different countries as well. So let's talk about what we have to offer. So the first program that I've mentioned earlier on is the new Managers Development Program. The new Managers Development Program, I think it's important to note, like I've mentioned before, that it's aligned to the NCF Level 5. The duration is 3 months. And the way we sort of offer the program is usually one study block of 5 days. That's just to say that it could be from a Monday to a Friday, but in general, that is how we offer our new management development program. So important to note, so who would be fit or would be ideal to attend such a program? Usually these are individuals who are transitioning into junior leadership roles, and so taking on first-time management responsibilities. And the reason for why do we offer this, because we understand that many new managers, they need to be introduced to the basic principles of management and leadership. They would learn how to combine this skill set of self-awareness, and people management so that they can enhance their personal effectiveness. And then lastly, on this program, we aim to enable the participants to increase their individual and facilitate team performance for these new leaders and management. In terms of admission requirements, there's no formal tertiary qualification required, but to be effective and to be able to cope with the demand of the program, it is important to note that we at least look to a basic English language competency of at about NQF level 4 or an equivalent of NQF level 4. The outcomes, as you see on the screen, these are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve whilst doing the new management development program, looking at the changing environment of business and to embrace digital transformation, some self-awareness work, how to make effective decisions, looking at how to set goals and how to achieve those objectives, and for new managers, how to delegate effectively, and then how to communicate effectively. And lastly, looking at what are the different touch points along the operational value chain. And the manner in which we achieve these outcomes is to then look at these following 5 modules that will be facilitated over the 5 days of the study block. Our participants will kick off their journey with the environment of business, spending a day on that. They will then look at how to communicate effectively. They will look at personal roles and decision-making and spend a day on that. Then also focusing on the 4th day on personal mastery and leadership in practice. And they conclude their their study block by looking at how business works, where they look at the different touch points within the operational value chain as well. I think I might want to mention this now. As I'm continuing, it might be great for you if, as I'm talking about these different programs, that if you have a specific question, you can maybe just put it in the chat below, and my colleagues will be able and keen to respond to it as best they can. Let me talk to you about the Management Development Program, also known as the MDP. The MDP is aligned to NQF level 6. The duration of the program is 6 months, and we run this program over 2 study blocks of 5 days each. In other words, over 10 days in total. I think important to note that very often people think because the program, the actual contact time is 10 days, that they think the program is only for 2 weeks. But because of the number of notional hours, as well as the different assignments that participants need to complete, as well as the business-driven action learning, the program, the duration is actually 6 months, so that we can align it also to NQF level 6. Who should attend? Managers or middle managers and supervisors who are responsible for managing teams and business units and who are needing to improve their functional managerial skills and competencies. We know that a lot of the managers need to or require a better understanding of how the business operates. They need to understand also that they do not have to, they cannot perform their management roles in isolation. And then obviously they require insights into the latest best management practices and need to reinforce their skills as an effective leader and manager as such. Again, admission, no formal tertiary qualification, but it's very advantageous if this manager already has at least 1 to 2 years of either junior management or mid-level management experience. And the reason for that is just simply that we find that the level of conversation is so much more meaningful when people have the same kind of experiences, when they debate and share best practice as they learn together. And then lastly, our recommendation is for people to at least have an English language competency of NQF level 4 or the equivalent of that. I'm not going to talk you through to all these learning outcomes because I think it's quite a mouthful, but I think what I would like to highlight is that these learning outcomes we try to achieve over those 10 days that they physically sit within class or have the time to debate and discuss that. The manner in which we achieve those, though, is that we have 2 study blocks of 5 days each. And in the first study block, they spend 2 days on the environment of business, understanding what the environment is like. And that environment is not only focused on the external environment, even though that's a big part of it, but also in terms of the internal environment in which a business operates as well. They then spend 1 day on getting a basic understanding of economics for managers. I think suffice to say, this is not going to make any manager an economist, but it helps our participants to get a sense of the impact the economy has on the business decisions that they have to make. And then we spend 2 days, the last 2 days of the first study block, on developing their leadership competence. They then have a reprieve where they go away, work on their assignment, start working on the business-driven action learning, and they come back for the second study block where they start out the first 2 days on the essentials of managerial finance. They spend another day and a half on optimizing customer experience and marketing, and they spend another day and a half on effective people management practices, which bring them to the end of the physical and organized contact time on the program. They go away, have to complete another assignment, and all of that culminates ultimately when they have to finally present their BDAL, or the business-driven action learning project. And I'll share some more information around them later. Our MDP program is the first program that we offer in which we have offering of an articulation into a more formal qualification as well. Now, this has become very important to us because historically in our country, we are aware that not all of people in our businesses had the opportunity to further their studies formally after school or since they've started to be in full-time employment. And one such manner in which we would try and assist participants to do that is to have arrangements with many different universities or other tertiary institutions. And on the management development program, at successful completion of the MDP, a participant could qualify for 22 credits to pursue a degree at the University of Free State in management leadership or business management leadership. Now, I know you might have a question in the back of your mind, why not with Stellenbosch? Unfortunately, at Stellenbosch University, we do not offer part-time programs at first degree level at the business school. Hence, we were looking at where is that possible. And you can see the mode of that is that you can do it either face-to-face, you can do it online, or you can do it modular at the University of Free State. Suffice to say, this doesn't mean that you automatically qualify. It simply means that option is there. You still have to qualify and meet the admission requirements for that particular program at the university. But should the participant meet the admission requirements, they would be credited with 22 credits out of the 373 required for that particular degree. Our next program is the Senior Management Development Program. And this program is a little bit more intense in terms of the number of days that we have on the program. This program will last for 6 months, but the contact time would be 15 days, or in other words, 3 study blocks of 5 days each. Who should attend the program? Experienced senior managers who manage other middle or senior managers and who are needing to develop an agile, strategic, and design thinking mindset in an ever-changing business environment. I would like to say many senior leaders need to transform their challenges into opportunities and become an agent for change. They need to start broadening their worldview and become and remain a resilient and agile leader. And there's a strong shift in terms of shifting their thinking towards the future and equip them with the tools, techniques, and knowledge to be prepared for what is currently happening and yet to come. A strong focus in this program is around shifting or creating that paradigm shift from being more operational to becoming a little bit more tactical and almost more strategic in their leadership as well. Again, NQF level 4 requirement for English level competency, but I think this is one area where I would like to highlight the 3 to 5 years of senior management experience that is often required. Even though we would not necessarily exclude a participant on that, but it is important to understand that the level of complexity and the level of conversation that will happen within the classroom is dependent on what the level of experience is that people will bring. And in my experience, sometimes if the person does not have that proper or that required level of experience, the learning process is a bit hampered for that particular participant. And that's the only reason why we look at what is the person's experience like as well. Like I said earlier, do not bore you with the learning outcomes in detail, but these are the learning outcomes that we offer, and we achieve those by looking at the 3 study blocks that we have themed as study block 1, strategic thinking and planning. And during that block, we focus on economics, we focus on a contextual understanding of macro trends, we spend some time on digital transformation, and then we're looking at designing leading edge strategies as well. In the second study block, after they've gone back and have completed their assignment, they will be focusing on the theme of organizational enablers in order to realize the strategy. And they will then focus on financial management, operational effectiveness and value chain analysis. And then they spend 2 days on innovation and design thinking. Their last study block is all about collaborative relationships, and they spend some time on marketing and brand management, building human capital, focusing on leadership in a complex world, and then also sustainable competitiveness, where there's a strong focus on the issues of sustainability that senior managers and leaders need to also hold dear at heart. With regard to the articulation possibilities, 2 possibilities. The one is at completion of our SMDP or Senior Management Development Program, participants could qualify to do a degree at the University of Lincoln, which is in the UK. And we've had a strong relationship with them for the last couple of years. And that particular degree is a Bachelor of Honours degree in business management, or in human resource management, or in logistics management, or in engineering management. And quite a strong articulation, because at completion of our SMDP, the participant who would qualify for that course could be accredited 240 out of the 360 credits that's required. Also, we have a similar agreement with the University of Free State for the SMDP, and more of that information is achievable from our program manager, Samantha Abrahams. And so if you need anything more, maybe you can drop Samantha an email, or even Charmaine Mitchell, and that kind of contact detail will be given to you later in the presentation as well. And then lastly, ladies and gentlemen, our flagship program, which is our executive development program. This program we offer only once a year. In fact, they have just been busy with their second study block this week on Monday and Tuesday. They were busy with the 2 days of the second study block. The program runs over 14 days, and they have 3 study blocks. The first one is usually in person at a venue in Stellenbosch, one of the wine farms. And then the second study block we offer as a remote offering. And then the third study block, this year they will be coming back to Stellenbosch to do their third study block again in person as well. We are very proud to say that this is our flagship program, and we invite executives, senior executives in organizations. If you want to improve your leadership, and your effectiveness with, especially in leading in society, this is an ideal program to enroll onto. The duration of the program is 7 months, and like I said, NQF level 8 aligned. Just in terms of requirements, there's no formal tertiary qualification required, but it is recommended though. But what we do look at is like whether the participant or the candidate have a team of senior managers that report to them. And we at least require plus minus 2 years serving in an executive or a director level role. And then obviously, if the incumbent has a sound general knowledge of any of the functional and strategic management areas within different business units, that would make that also an ideal candidate to enter for or enroll for this particular program. So the program is then a program in which people will be selected to. And so in your application, there's the requirement for the people to submit a CV. And then if needed, the participant might be called for an interview just to get a sense of the level of experience to ensure that the program offers to what that particular candidate needs, and whether that particular participant or candidate would benefit significantly from attending that program. These are the outcomes, and I like mentioned before, these are the outcomes for the program, but how we get there is also to have 3 themes and 3 study blocks. So we focus very strongly on responsible leadership. It was such heartwarming when we checked in with this year's cohort on the first day on Monday morning, and we were reflecting on their journeys regarding responsible leadership. Quite amazing to see what people have already shifted like. And during that block, they focus on responsible leadership, they focus on sustainability as a strategic lever, they focus on ethics and governance, and then they obviously focus also on leadership and board dynamics. The second study block is around understanding the world. They kick off with strategic systemic foresight, looking at futures thinking. Then they'll be dealing with strategic management, looking at global economic trends, and then lastly, technology and innovation. And during the last study block, they look at strategic marketing, financial strategy, risk management, cyber risk and security, and managing reputational risk. I've mentioned the role of the executive leadership integrator earlier, as well as the LPF. And later on, if there may be some questions, I will focus on responding to some of those questions. I think suffice to say that I've mentioned that we try to create some articulation for most of our programs. And for the EDP, the articulation that we are creating is the one where at successful completion and at meeting the criteria for the postgraduate diploma in leadership at Stellenbosch Business School, our participants and successfully completion of this EDP could qualify for 30 credits for the postgraduate diploma in either business management and admin, or in development finance, or in project management. As I am about to close my part of the presentation for this morning, I just want to maybe quickly highlight, you've mentioned or heard me referring to the business-driven action learning project. This is just a slide to say that in that process, it's the learning methodology where people will learn while they are doing something. And some of the requirements is that they will have some management interactions. They'll make use of real-time case studies, possibly company visit and or engagements. And ultimately, they have to work in a team, but also learn to present as a team. And typically, the process is around the way they apply their research, which is guided by the LPF or the ELI. There's some coaching happening as they are supported during iterations of the different ideas that they come up with. And then finally, there's the implementation of a solution. Admittedly, they don't always get to the point where they can implement, but at least they are able to present the ideas for implementation as well. I don't think a presentation of what we do would be complete unless we actually also talk about the wonderful ability or the opportunity to join the alumni network. Maybe just to mention, these are some of the value adds if you become a member. But I think the highlight for me to mention is all our programs from NQF level 6 upwards qualify to join the Alumni Association. So the only program that doesn't qualify in terms of what we are offering is the NMDP, but as from MDP upwards, all of those participants would qualify to join the Alumni Association. I've mentioned before that we are quite aware that some of our participants or some of our clients would require something that speaks to them, bespoke to their organization as such. So what we offer is that we also have some of the off-the-shelf interventions that could be sort of tailored to your organization. And what I mean by tailoring is what we call a close cohort, where we say, if you have a particular cohort of 25 or more participants, and you want the focus to be on your organization without changing the modules that we are already offering, that is a very, very strong possibility. We've been running that with a number of our clients. Hopefully they are also in the venue at the moment. And it's proven to be quite successful, especially for clients who would like to have the focus on what it is that they have to offer in their businesses. If you would like to talk about those kind of cohorts, which we call the closed cohorts, I would suggest that you can see Claire's email address on the slide there. It's great for you to contact Claire on claire.sissing@sbs-ed.com to just talk about what it is that we have to offer in that regard. The value of having a closed cohort and the way we sort of tailor our offering to the closed cohort is that the closed cohort, the organization can make a recommendation for the topic that they would like the delegates to or the participants to work on. That is somewhat different from our normal open offering, but I think it's a great value and a great return of investment for a client who would want to invest that kind of money, but want to see the value being plowed back into their business as soon as possible. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've said enough. I would like to hand over to Claire Sissing again.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you so much for that. I just want to quickly touch on what the programs are still remaining for 2023, as well as when we will be launching our new offerings for 2024. These links to these programs will be added into the chat as well. Great. So on the screen now, the 3 remaining programs for 2023 would be your new management development program, as discussed earlier with Kevin. And the last one for the year runs from the 11th of September to the 16th of November. And then you can also have a look at when that application closing date is as well. Our last management development program, the last one for the year is from the 23rd of October to the 12th of April 2024. So that would roll over into the following year. And our last senior management development program is from the 2nd of October to the 15th of March 2024. It will also roll over into next year. So we will be launching our 2024 offerings around September and October this year. So please keep a lookout for that. In the chat right now, you will see a link to our course pages. You can submit your details via the form in order to be notified once our applications are open for 2024. If we could just ask one more thing, we are in the process of finalizing our 2024 designs and would like to ask you 3 very, very quick questions about artificial intelligence in your business. Marie van Wyk, our business developer, will post a Mentimeter survey link in the chat. please click on it and share your input and expectations. And then we will use this feedback to inform our future fit designs. And that would be much appreciated. So if I could just hand over to Kevin, that will then close.
Thank you, Claire. Unmute myself. Thank you, Claire. Apologies. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are arriving at the end of our presentation, and maybe just to highlight, Marie just shared that particular link for Mentimeter, and looking forward to your responses over there. I want to close our presentation by going back to what we've said. Claire have started out, and Chris also talking about our ambition, our DNA, our purpose, and our client promise. And I want to go back to our ambition, which is we would like to develop people. That's what we're all about. We want to impact positively in your business, and we want to transform lives. And we trust that what we have been sharing this morning is helping you to look at where are the opportunities that we can assist you in developing people, where we can assist you in impacting positively in your business, but also where are the opportunities for us to transform lives as well. I want to say thank you very much for your time, that you've invested to be with us this morning. As mentioned earlier on, there will be an opportunity for us to ask some questions. I've noted that there are some great questions that has been asked within the chat, and also my colleagues have been responding to them. At this point in time, thank you very much for your time. Also, very important, our client relations person, Charmaine Mitchell, please take note of a contact detail, which you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. Charmaine can be contacted at info@sbs-ed.com, and there's also a telephone number for Charmaine as well. At this point in time, may I ask if there is maybe one question that we would like for us to sort of verbally answer? If not, thank you to our colleagues for asking those questions and responding. And then I see Hilly Shamulele. Hilly, your question, please.
Good morning and good afternoon. Thank you very much, Kevin, for this great opportunity. This was a very wonderful presentation. That is an open eye, and it's really good. I know that you only, what I would like to know is that when in terms of business, you have leadership that are into leading people. But remember that also the world has changed in terms of employees also. They need to understand the core business, what is so important about business. And so that you being as an employer, when you are employing, or when you want to do change management in your company, so your employees, they can able to understand. So maybe I would love to say that if, let me say I'm an employee, but I'm not on a leadership level, but I want to have understanding in terms of, because I see that you have also groups, maybe if the company wants to train their leadership to understand the business standards or business units in their environment of space. So I would love to sell out this to my organization where I'm working to. It's a very interesting program, but I would love that. Would you able not also maybe in future, or to see that this program also aligns with the employees, those who are willing to pursue in this, because the world also is transforming, whereby we'll have a high rate of employees resigning to become business owners. So I think on that level also it really plays a big role if we give that room. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your input, Hilly. And if I understand your question, you're asking about that the focus not only be on leaders who are already in leadership, but also people who are aspiring to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. And then maybe just to then answer that question in saying, yes, absolutely. So even though we call it leadership and management programs, we move from the premise that says leadership is not vested in a position. So you don't have to be in a leadership position to be able to attend some of our programs, but there are many different ways that we can assist organizations. And if you need a little bit more, it would be great if we could get your contact detail, or you can contact us and we can have that conversation and connect you with people in our business who are able to support that kind of development as well. So yeah, but thanks for your question. It's highly appreciated. Good. Any other questions? I don't see. As Marie also indicated, the survey is still open for a few minutes, and we really would appreciate your input. If there are nothing else, we have just reached at 11:30, and I think we have requested an hour of your time. So from our side, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We appreciate you. We're looking forward to hearing from you on the different places where you can contact us, and particularly on the last slide where Charmaine Mitchell's email address is. Please drop Charmaine an email. Please drop Claire an email, and we thank you and we wish you well with the last 6 months of 2023 as we're gearing up for a better 6 months in the world of business, but also preparing ourselves for a great 2024 as well. Thank you so much.
Kevin, sorry,
yes.
Sam has his hand up, or her hand up.
Okay, so apologies, I didn't see that. Oh, Sam? My apologies, Sam.
That's fine. Good morning from Ghana.
Good morning.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you once again for the presentation. Probably I'm the odd one out. I work in the church environment, and I'm looking at the leadership development plans for leaders or senior managers, if you will, in the church environment. And even though I see a lot of the things apply, but I don't know if you can throw a little bit light on how the things that we are learning have a correlation to the church environment.
Yeah, Sam, thank you for your question. Yes, you're absolutely right. Leadership is leadership, whether in the church or in business, but we do understand that the context is very different. In our organization, we have a dedicated team that would be able to assist you specifically to look at how we can customize our offering to speak to your context as well as your needs. So I would really strongly suggest that if you could contact either Charmaine or Claire, they will connect you with the right person who will be able to do that. Like I've mentioned, we have a strong footprint in Africa, so we have a channel that looks after Africa, and they would be able to really support you there. But I want to encourage you that you don't miss this opportunity. You know, we definitely are able to articulate or not align and adjust our offerings to speak to your specific needs as well. Obviously, we don't have the time to go into that detail for you now, but I promise you they will be able to support and assist you. Okay. Lethlo Honolo.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I just wanted to add from what my dear brother in Ghana has articulated. I'm actually here attending so that I can see what else is offered. I'm currently doing the EDP, and our organization, which is a collective management organization, it's a very odd one based on what most people do. But what I've actually gained for the past 2 study blocks that I'm actually in is, the learnings are so diverse that they can actually be included in any organization, maybe a non-profit making organization as I am, maybe government department. So I just wanted to add that in essence, it's very open, it's very big. It can be encapsulated in any environment, whether it's a church, whether it's an NGO, whether it's a business for profit. So it works in all diverse, and it really opens up your mind. And some of the things I've learned, I just wanted to share to the group here. I'm actually using them right now in my mid-term strategy as it's happening. our strategy was, the old traditional way of doing things. But the things I've learned in a few months have actually catapulted what we are doing as an organization and has brought so much immense change to what we're offering. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's so great to hear that how this has already impacted positively in terms of what you are doing. And maybe it's also important for me to mention that part of what we offer in open enrollment is exactly the diversity of input from different industries, because that's really a unique opportunity to learn from other industries. Because sometimes we think we need to learn within our own industry, and we know that we have to benchmark ourselves within our industry, but we also need to look at best practice. And I think what Letlogololo has been sharing is exactly that. So Sam, I trust that, yes, please do make contact with us, but I trust that is helping you to see that there's great value in going a little bit diverse as well. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be respectful to your time because I know that we've asked for an hour, but I also want to just, because I've noticed there's quite a number of participants asking about sharing this presentation. Please be in touch with Charmaine or the other colleagues. If we don't have your contact detail, they will share more information. You will receive different, I just need to make sure about one more thing that I needed to share with you. Yeah, just to make sure that more information will follow. Charmaine will be in touch with you, but please check your spam folders. Information that we might be forwarding to you might land up in your spam folder. So just have a look at it there. And then, like I've mentioned, please be in touch with Charmaine Mitchell, our client relations officer, and looking forward to assisting you as you're developing the people in your organization. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for your time.